Hi and welcome to Tabletop Gaming. My name is Charlie and today we are looking at 10 of the best spooktacular games. Now these are perfectly in time for Halloween, of course, which is the best time of year to be playing these sorts of things. And it's sort of whether you go for a horror based, whether you go for a paranormal based, I've got you covered with this list. Now, this list appeared in issue 60 of Tabletop Gaming magazine, so be sure to go and check that out so you can see it in print as it stands. But I will bring you all of the best games from that list so that you can have a suitably festive themed, is it festive if it's Halloween? Let me know in the comments, that you can have that. But without further ado, and so not to frustrate those ghoulies and ghosties that are around at this time of year, let's dive right in. Number 1 on the list is Mysterium Park. Now, if you have seen videos that I have made before, you will probably have no surprise in your hearts that I'm mentioning Mysterium again. It was my gateway game and I'm very, very attached. Mysterium Park is a slightly different version of it. It's more of not a sequel, but another standalone version of it. So instead of being in the manor, we're moving to a circus, and it just adds a different level in. Changes down your player count, adds a different way of working out what stuff is, and keeps it ghostly the whole time. Because of course, you're going to be trying to work out what has happened based on cards that are provided to you by a sort of absent-minded ghost who can only reach you through dreams and abstract thoughts, which means you're going to be handed these beautiful abstract artwork, but you're going to be trying to use those to work out that means, like, dagger in the kitchen with Professor Plum. Like, it's not as easy as it sounds, but it does mean a lot of kind of, how did you know that? Oh my goodness, are you psychic? But also considering the ghostly theme, it's a really good fit for Halloween. In at number 2, I'm going for Curse of Strahd. Now, D&D is no stranger to the sort of horror or mystical or fearful genre. If you take a look at Van Richten's guide, for example, that gives you information on creating all sorts of different kinds of horror. So be that from Frankenstein to the Feywild to everything in between. Now, this settles very much on the gothic horror, which isn't necessarily my favourite, but Curse of Strahd has pipped the others to the post because of the deluxe edition that is available. It's called Revamped, which I think is delightful, and it's set, of course, in Barovia, where it is a terrifying count that has invited you to dinner, and you need to find out why and what's going on. However, the Revamped edition comes in a coffin, which is delightful, as well as some other spooky style things. So it gives you, for example, postcards that you can send out to invite to the dinner that was aforementioned if you are the DM, which is just a nice little extra touch. And you've got that Tarocca deck, which gives you some of your responses to things. This is what's happening, all included within there. So it's a very sort of physical way of bringing the horror to the tabletop, and I kind of love it. In at number 3 is Zombie Teens Evolution. Now, Zombie Teens is a really great way of getting kids involved in general, but it's also a really great way of getting kids involved in something sort of horror themed around Halloween. This is a really good way to do so because we get the zombies, but we don't have the sort of necessary horror that comes with them. It's very cartoonified and it's very good fun. This is a game of keeping the zombies out, where you're collecting ingredients to brew a potion that will save the world. And it's a legacy style game, so you're going to be opening envelopes as you go, keeping interest. Now, specifically that's a mechanic that's used for the kids in this, but I love that mechanic too, so. In at number 4 is Planet Apocalypse. So if you don't like your zombies cartoonified, oh boy, we're going the other end of the spectrum here with the monsters and demons and things that are coming out. So this is a Peterson game, which is probably no surprise as to how impressive it is, because that's the same guy that worked on things like Doom and Quake and such, which means all of that sort of historical is now encased in a board game. Now this is entirely miniatures heavy. The amount of miniatures is almost unbelievable. We've mentioned it in a previous video. I will pop the link below, so we've shown you what that looks like when it's all set up, but there are just so many miniatures, so many different demons that are coming out that you'll think hell is basically just empty now. In at number 5 is Blood on the Clock Tower. Now, I know not everyone's been able to play this, not everyone's been able to get their hands on it yet, but it is due for imminent release, so hopefully you've played it at a convention or seen it played. This is a really sort of hotly anticipated game. We're very, very excited about this, but clearly there are demons amok. You have groups of good and evil, you play through day and night, and it is a social deduction game where you're trying to root out the evil demons that are amidst your presence. This is particularly nice because it works in bigger groups, so if you're considering a Halloween party or a Halloween themed get together, you have no need to limit numbers on this one. In at number 6 is Horrified. Now, if you enjoy the classics, and whilst yes, Hocus Pocus is a classic and it's not the one I'm talking about, I do mean Frankenstein, Dracula, those style of ones, you're going to enjoy this. So those are the key characters within this game, but the interesting part is that this is a family style game. You can play it with younger family members quite easily because there's no sort of horror or sort of scary parts to it. It's things that the kids will already know about these monsters that comes to fruition. Now, not only are you up against the clock in this game, you are also up against the terror meter, which will move up when bad things happen. So if a villager is killed, for example, the terror increases. So you've got to fight against that with all the sort of tenseness that you could possibly want in a game that you're bringing other people around the table for. Number 7 is Arkham Horror, the card game. It sort of felt like this game had to include Arkham because how could you not have Cthulhu in something like this? But this one we've gone for the classic, which is the card game. Obviously there are various expansions available, but it's just nice to have a little bit of sort of the mythos and the threat of losing your mind on the horizon. Isn't that wonderful for Halloween? In at number 8 is Betrayal Legacy. Now this one specifically, because I love the idea that you can be terrified of something that happened a long time ago. So because this is Legacy, you play as sort of your ancestral line perhaps. So a mistake that you make early on that causes a ghost to do something or causes some sort of peril is then fed through your line, your inheritance line, as you get down to the bottom. Mistakes your ancestors made are still going to haunt you later. What could be more terrifying than family? Ultimately, it seems there's no escaping the horrors of your past. And this is a great game to do it with. And number 9 is Resident Evil. This is a bit of a cheat because I'm actually referring to a couple of games, but the Resident Evil series of board games that are on Tabletop by Steamforged Games. Now, these follow very much the video game, so if you've played the video games, there is a, in theory, corresponding board game on that, but there are 3 so far. There are 2 that are already released and 1 that is on Kickstarter around this time, depending on when you're watching. What this does is gives you a tabletop game full of miniatures, full of tactics, so you can play in Raccoon City with your favourite characters and hopefully win against the zombies, but depends how good you are. And then finally, in at number 10, we've gone for the Alien RPG. The reason for this is not limited just to the fact that it is a fabulous, sort of terrifying, tense film with lots of opportunities for this incredible tabletop game, because it is all of those things, of course, but also because we recently did the Tabletop Gaming Awards. So for 2021, the best way to die in an RPG, the winner of which was the Alien RPG. And those included things like being turned into an egg, or acid rain, or all sorts of sort of horrible ends that you could meet. And it feels like a gloomy Halloween night with a perfect one-shot full of death and destruction. It's just the way to spend Halloween. So there you have it, 10 spooktacular games in time for Halloween. Now, if you think about it, whilst this video has been quite short, we've done a lot. We've gone from ghosts in Mysterium Park over to vampires in Curse of Strahd, then we were on to zombies with Zombie Teens, we've got demons in Planet Apocalypse, we've got more demons in Blood on the Clock Tower, classic monsters and horrified, terrifying stuff in the mythos, family fear and betrayal. Obviously there's more to it than that, but that's the part that amuses me. More zombies in Resident Evil, and then finally brutal death in Alien RPG. It's been a journey, what can I say? Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this list. Please do pop in the comments any you would add to it, or if you are in enjoyment of these games, or if you have any fun stories to tell me. I adore reading the comments and I do attempt to respond to all of them, so please let me know your thoughts. If you would like some more tabletop gaming goodness, there's multiple ways in which you can get it, but head to tabletopgaming.co.uk. From there you can sign up to my newsletter, you can pick up the magazine that this was in. Wouldn't that be delightful? And also check out things across the game store, advent calendars, mystery boxes, delightful things that we do for you too. Of course, should be completed after you like and subscribe, so don't forget to do that too. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a great day.